All right, from that title to this one now. Yeah, it's the 5th straight finals for these Warriors. Yes, it's a core that's won multiple titles together. But this finals is different for reasons just beyond the passport that they're going to need to get to Toronto. For the first time in this Warriors dynasty, Golden State will open up the finals away from Golden State. The Raptors fans, Drake included, don't get too confident now. The Dubs are 6-2 on the road this postseason, a playoff run that will end with a different roster and a different look than when it began.
This team just feels like such a lock. I would take the Warriors over the field.
3 titles in the last 4 years. We're well aware it's not going to last forever.
The intensity of the NBA playoffs on full display here.
Beverly nearly lost it against Durant, and now he gets in his face. The big toss from the game.
I'm not going to get in the way of the game because I want to have a little back and forth with Patrick Beverly. I'm Kevin Durant. Y'all know who I am.
DeMarcus Cousins limping toward the bench.
You just hate to see that.
We had to figure out a way to, rally the troops.
Durant's feeling it. Heat check from the left wing. Count that one as well.
Golden State responds with some dominant basketball.
None of us are ready for this run to come to an end.
Kevin Durant laces one through.
And he's hurt. Everyone in Oracle holding their breath.
I think you saw Steph go into a different mode when Kevin went out.
That's good. Curry knocked it down.
He's come out of the fog.
Curry launches a three-pointer. Puts it in again. Warriors advance to their 5th consecutive Western Conference final.
This one felt good. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it.
High drama here at Oracle Arena. Lillard stolen by Iguodala. Golden State survived.
I don't even know what to say about Draymond. He was like a wrecking ball out there, destroying everything in his path.
Steps back for the 3. You bet. This guy's something else.
The Warriors do it again and advance to their 5th consecutive NBA Finals.
This is our goal every year, and to get here 5 straight times is special.
Sure is. These Dubs, though, enter these finals a little banged up. Steve Kerr does expect they'll get one player back. That would be 2014-15 Finals MVP Andre Iguodala, expected to play in Game 1. The same cannot be said of the reigning 2-time NBA Finals MVP Kevin Durant. Unlikely to go at the beginning of this series, could make his way back later in this series. DeMarcus Cousins, meanwhile, continuing to make progress. Expected to play at some point in the finals. No exact date, though, has been determined. Now, despite all that uncertainty, our friends at Caesars Sportsbook have those banged-up Warriors as the favorites in this series. Shortest odds listed have the Dubs plus 250 to win in 6 games, while the longest odds are plus 2,500 for the Raptors to not only win the series, but to do so in a sweep.
Dan Gilbert, the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers, is said to be recovering comfortably after experiencing stroke-like symptoms. Now, that's according to Quicken Loans. It's the company Gilbert founded and also chairs. The 57-year-old was treated at a Detroit area hospital, and no other details about his condition were provided. Gilbert has owned the Cavs since 2005.
All I do is win.
The Golden State Warriors champions once again, back-to-back titles.
What we've been able to accomplish is something that not many players have been able to experience.
But you gon' have to try again next year.
We all want something that's bigger than ourselves.
We all got our eyes set on that 3-peat. Nothing will deter us from that.
Warriors, man, they've ripped through the Western Conference again, and now they're 1-3 favorites against the Raptors in the NBA Finals. They've been favored in all 20 postseason series in the Steve Kerr era. That is the longest streak by any team in the last 3 decades. For more, we welcome in Damon Jones, who played 11 seasons in the NBA, and Kawhi Leonard with 7 35-point games so far in these playoffs. He's one of just 6 players to accomplish that feat before the NBA Finals. So, Damon, how do you expect the Warriors to try to defend against that?
Well, it's going to be tough, but I anticipate Steve Kerr starting off with Iguodala on him to start, trying to limit what he could do on the perimeter. Sometimes you're going to see Klay Thompson move over and get a piece of him as well, because we all know Klay is one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. And down the stretch in games when you want to put a bigger body on him, then you're probably going to go with Draymond Green as well to guard him, to try to stop what he did in that last series.
You have to worry about Kawhi on the offensive end, also on the defensive end as well. So on the flip side of that, the Raptors won 4 straight games against the Bucks after head coach Nick Nurse made the adjustment to put Kawhi on Giannis defensively. So who do you expect the Claw to mainly try to lock down in Game 1?
Well, I think he's going to try to lock down Draymond Green, put pressure on him at the beginning from the perimeter, try to pressure him, try to get him off of being the facilitator that he's been so good at in that Portland series. And because of it, late in games, I see him guarding Steph or probably Clay a little bit down the stretch as well.
In terms of per 100 possessions this postseason, the Warriors are plus 11.6. With Draymond on the court, they're minus 10.9 when he's on the bench. That's Damon Jones with the insight on SportsCenter AM. Coming up next on Get Up with Greeny and the crew, how the Warriors are staying motivated with 9 days off before Game 1, plus how much Kawhi has done to lead the Raptors to their first ever finals, and did Le'Veon Bell pave the way for other NFL stars to sit out? It's 8 Eastern on ESPN in the app.
Draymond Green tries a three. It's good. Draymond Green drills the three. The Warriors do it again as they defeat the Blazers here in overtime and advance to their 5th consecutive NBA Finals.
Lowry on the other end. Waits for the Greek freak to go by. Gives it to Leonard, who flushes over Giannis. They've done it. They've finally done it. The Raptors are the Eastern Conference champs. And for the first time ever, the NBA Finals will be played on Canadian soil. The Raptors take the final 4 games and oust the Milwaukee Bucks in 6 games in the Eastern Conference Finals.
No Champagne Papi's going to be there. Warriors minus 300 to win the NBA Finals. This according to Caesars Sportsbook. The Raptors are plus 250. I already played it out on NBA Live. Golden State wins in a sweep. By the way, if they do, they're plus 450 to sweep Toronto. Let's chew the fat on this series some more with a low-carb diet and a good, solid crunch with Stan Barrett.
After starting with 16 teams, we're down to the final 2. The Toronto Raptors and the Golden State Warriors.
For the first time in Toronto Raptors history, they will be headed to the NBA Finals.
The last time Toronto reached the championship round in the NBA, the NHL, or Major League Baseball, Game 6 of the 1993 World Series.
A swing and a belt. Way back. The Blue Jays are World Series champions. Touch them all, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life.
But enough about baseball. Let's focus on the Raptors. Toronto won both its meetings against the Warriors this season, joining last year's Pacers as the only teams to sweep Golden State in the regular season under Steve Kerr. Sure, some things have changed since these teams last met in December, but one thing has remained the same for the Raptors: Kawhi Leonard.
Right now, Kawhi has to be considered the best basketball player on the planet Earth.
He has 11 30-point games during this year's playoffs. The only other players to do that in a single postseason over the last 10 years, you recognize each of them by a single name: Kobe, LeBron, Durant. In the conference semifinals against the 76ers, Leonard made the only game-winning buzzer beater in a Game 7 in NBA history.
Is this the dagger?
As for the Warriors, they're making their 5th consecutive trip to the finals, a streak that's only been seen one other time in league history. That was by the Celtics from 1957 to 1966. And while Kawhi Leonard has certainly had a historic run, Steph Curry might have topped him.
It's good. Steph Curry lighting it up.
Curry's greatness has come back.
Man, it's been fun to watch Steph. Yes. Rewind the clock a little bit here.
He averaged 36.5 points in the conference finals, the most in a 4-game sweep in NBA history, beating Shaquille O'Neal from the 2002 finals. Curry's 35 points in 4 straight playoff games ties him with Rick Barry for the longest run in Warriors history. So, will a new champion be crowned in the NBA, or will the Warriors win a 4th title in 5 seasons and cement their legacy as one of the best?
History's on the line in this building.
You guys have earned the right to be here.
For the first time in Toronto Raptors history, they will be headed to the NBA Finals.
We're about to see a lot of Drake. Well, if at first you don't succeed, try and try again. And if that still doesn't work, well, trade your franchise player for 1 year of Kawhi and see where that gets you. And so far, it's worked for Toronto.
I agree. The Raptors managed to immortalize Giannis in the last 4 games. And as our Mark Schwartz tells us, it was Kawhi's playoff experience that made him the best player in this series, leading Toronto to its first NBA Finals.
No good, loose ball. Kawhi Leonard's got it. And the party is just about on here in Toronto.
It took a nurse to deliver Toronto its first ever finals berth. But it took a force of nature to change the narrative about the Raptors.
He's just so good, and I'm seeing a level of competitive greatness out of him. I mean, it's just his willing us to win.
He's been there before. He's very comfortable in those situations. Where the lights get brighter, his game, rises, and he knows how important it is.
3 seasons in a row, the Raptors wilted in May, allowing LeBron James to steal their lunch money. But these are not your older brother's Raptors.
Screen from Siakam, bounce to Siakam, floater, good! Raptors have the lead.
Down 15 late in the third, Toronto turned the tide, and the Bucks got caught in the undertow.
It was amazing. It's what you live for. It's what you play basketball for those type of adversity moment. It's how you make history.
The Raptors' 26-3 run was punctuated by a Kawhi Leonard lefty slam heard round the province.
Lowry on the other end, waits for the Greek freak to go by, gives it to Leonard who flushes over Giannis.
Building exploded after that done. Kind of got us a little bit more adrenaline.
Why not feed the big dog? Let the big dog eat. I'm always going to look for my, the guy that I know can finish with the best of them.
Just knowing that we got the best player on the court, the best player in the gym, mostly all the time, it's just an extra level of comfort out there.
Following the win, Raptors president Masai Ujiri, who made the deal to bring him north, called Leonard the best player in the league. And while the Bucks have a player who may someday earn that distinction, Giannis Antetokounmpo knows that in this series, Kawhi's experience was a game changer.
The way he plays, he has so much patience. He knows what he's going to do. He has confidence in himself. He has the experience. He's been here before. He's been to the finals.
I worked so hard to get to this point. Just always betting on myself. Ended up coming here with a great group of guys, a lot of talent. All that hard work just put together, and then, now we're here, and it's exciting.
Thank you, Mark. All right, we got a health update out of Golden State. While the team is still waiting on Kevin Durant and DeMarcus Cousins, Andre Iguodala is expected to be back for Game 1 against the Raptors. Iggy, who's been nursing calf soreness, found it easy to trace the source of his injury.
A lot of minutes, a lot of overuse. That's all, information's overuse. No, that's for real. And it just, I'm old, but it just flared up real quick, and we got a good training staff, so on top of it. It's just, you've been playing for 5 long seasons, like long seasons, so it's bound to come up. It's very rare that you see it, so I feel like it's hard for it to be realized sometimes. But my career is almost over, so I don't really care. We got a tough series ahead. I'm looking to enjoy it. I'm about to be done playing anyway.
We'd like to have everybody healthy, that's for sure. But if not, our guys have done a great job of finding ways to win, and we have a very deep team. We have a lot of guys who have played in the championship.
As we mentioned, Iggy isn't the only Warrior with injury concerns entering the finals. KD, Boogie Cousins are not expected to play in Game 1 against the Raptors. It hasn't been an issue for Golden State, however. The Warriors have not lost a game since KD went down in Game 5 against the Rockets. Gary?
Speaking of injuries, and as promised, Coach Greenberg, you're back, and we're talking about the Warriors. They're on their way to their 5th straight NBA Finals. However, they got here a little differently because head coach Steve Kerr has had to manage his players a little bit differently because of all the injuries. So how do you assess the job he's done this season?
He's the best coach in the NBA. He's an incredible communicator. His ability to hold guys accountable. His ability to adjust on the fly. Is Boogie playing? Isn't he playing? He comes in the middle of the season. The number of injuries they had to deal with. Think about the Houston series. They weren't strength in numbers. They played a short bench. But then went to Portland, they opened up. And the most important thing is when he calls upon a guy, they are ready to play. That's a mutual respect. He's not a good coach. He's a great coach. Now, the guy on the other end, right, it's taken him 27 years to become an overnight sensation. This dude, Nick Nurse, he's coached all over the world.
He's huge in Europe.
Right? He is big in Europe. And I'll tell you what, when you're coaching in Europe, right? You have to do a little bit of everything. Not only you have to do a little bit of everything, but sometimes because of financial situations in terms of your roster, you've got to be flexible. He's an offensive savant. You saw the defensive game plan. And check out where he's been. I'll tell you what,
legend.
The big and bright Bears, there's no doubt about it. You know, the London Towers, I mean, you got to understand the Manchester Giants. But by his journey, all right, you've got to understand with his journey, he's learned his trade. He's learned to be flexible. He's learned to be a good communicator. He's learned to kind of understand how to put guys in positions to play to their strengths. Because when you coach overseas, money's the biggest issue. If you don't have the money to sign the best players, you've got to figure out a way to win with the lineup you have. Offensive savant, great communicator, and you see what they've done offensively, coming out of timeouts, how he's attacked matchups, how he's used Kawhi. The guy is a brilliant coach.
And now he's up against the juggernaut that is the Golden State Warriors. Kevin Durant averages nearly 41 points in the 2 matchups so far this season. Don't know necessarily if he's going to be good or not for Game 1. And a lot of people sort of writing the Raptors off because it is the Warriors. However, help us maybe change their mind and tell us why the Raptors might have a chance.
Because Kawhi Leonard is playing like a Michael Jordan or Jordan-esque. Sure. His ability not only score, but to make others better. His poise, his patience, his understanding of playing winning basketball. He's got a championship pedigree. Draw 2 defenders, kick it out, trust in Gasol. That was Gasol's first basket. He didn't score in the first half. See the cutter, make the pass. Look how patient he is here. Drawing the 2 defenders. He puts his eyes on the rim. He makes the right play. He is never forced. Oh, and by the way, don't let him take a big shot from the right corner.
He usually gets those
most
bounces.
times he gets a good bounce. Big shot maker, big playmaker, and championship pedigree.
Warriors 4-0 in Game 1 of the NBA Finals, but all of those were at home. Game 1 Thursday night is in Toronto, 9 Eastern on ABC. Coach, thanks.
Thanks, bud.